today. So hopefully this is coming through to you guys. We are live and we are talking about ways to get into the industry on specifically the idea of indie producing your own work and why that is a powerful way of moving yourself forward and moving into the industry. So we will dive in. If you are a Black screenwriter, emerging film or TV writer, you are in the right place. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kristen Iris Johnson. I am a showrunner, producer, and CEO of Black Screenwriter Alliance, where we bring together emerging Black film and TV writers to forge their own paths in the industry, but with allies, because we are all about supporting each other. That is what we need, especially in this industry, especially in this time. So today we are talking about, as an avenue, one of the many avenues of getting into the industry is about producing your own work, right? Like you don't necessarily have to wait for Hollywood to greenlight you. It's never been a better time to make your mark as a Black creator or by indie producing your own feature or short film or even like a web series. I mean, that is how Issa Rae got started, right? So first of all, why would you do this? By producing your own work, you have a lot more say in your project, in the direction of the project, in the story. You have creative control. And that is what a lot of writers do want. A lot of filmmakers want is that creative control. You're not beholden to a studio. You're not beholden to a network. You're not beholden really to anybody except maybe your investors, if you have investors. So you get to make the story that you want to make, and you get to share the perspective that you want to share, and you get to do it in your own way. So it gives you a lot more creative control. Now, you still need to be collaborative, right? You still want to get input from the different people on your team, because filmmaking and TV making, these are collaborative processes. So this is not to say that you having that creative control means that it's all you and nobody else is involved, but it is that you are the head honcho. You are the one that is in charge, and you are responsible for the project. So be collaborative, but at the end of the day, you have a lot more power to tell the story you want to tell when you are actually indie producing your own work. Um, the other thing is you also, which people may not think about this, but you do have control over like who it is that you choose to work with on that project. You get to do the hiring. You get to bring the team together. You get to choose your director. You get to find a DP. And these things can be challenging, and they can lead to a lot of learning moments. But they are also ways for you to build your team with people that people that you trust, people that you have built relationships with, and bringing those people together so that you are all collaborating together. And that is something that continues to build your relationships with those people. It also will broaden the relationships that you have, because you will have they will bring, they may have people that they're connected to. They're like, oh, we're looking for someone who can do this. I know someone. So now you're also being able to not only work with people that you want to and that you get to choose, but you get to get connected with even more great creatives in the industry that you can continue building more relationships with. And that is good for like the long term, and the future, because relationships are where opportunities come from, and they're also ways that you can create opportunities for other people. So the other thing is, as you are in charge and fully responsible for your project, that also means you are responsible for both its success or its failure. This is why, even if you're doing an indie production, you still want to make sure that you are bringing the right team together. That's why I said that piece about your team and collaboration. You want to make sure that you are still bringing the right team together for this project. And I always think that it's good to work with people that you know and that people that you trust. I mean, everybody, you're not going to know everybody out the gate. There are people that you're going to be introduced to that you are then going to hire, but working with people that you trust. This is why you want to do that, and people who know what they're doing in their department. If you are the writer or the writer and producer, because if you're producing your project, you don't have to direct it. You can if you want to, so you can flex your directing, muscle. But if you don't want to direct, you don't have to direct it. You can hire a director. But as the person who is producing it, you are responsible for it succeeding. You're responsible for its failure. You're responsible for putting the right team together. And you cannot do everything. You're the writer, you are the producer, possibly the director. You can't be the DP. You can't be the ADs. You can't, I mean, you can do a lot of things, especially if it's on a really low budget. Like you might be doing wardrobe. People might be doing their own makeup, depending on, what the scope is. But you want to make sure that you are bringing people together. My suggestion is bringing people together who know more in their role than you do, because they have to be good at what they're doing. You don't have to be good at what they're doing because you're not doing it. They have to be good at what they're doing. So that is something that you want to keep in mind when you're doing this. Now, as far as producing your own work, you could produce feature films, you could produce short films, you can produce a web series. Any of these things are avenues for showcasing your work, your story, your voice, getting it out there, and um, getting it out there in a way that people, in a place and in a way that people can see it and really understand more about you as a filmmaker, you as a creator, you as a writer. What does this person have to say? What kind of stories do they like to write? This is a way of showcasing that. And when you showcase that, you now have proof, right? Like you have proof that you can create something, you have proof that you can write a story, you have proof that someone can look at and say like, oh, this was really good, I want to bring them on this other project. Our portfolio does not just have to be a portfolio of scripts that are not produced. You can produce something of your own, and that also becomes part of your portfolio and a powerful part of it, especially if you like really do your due diligence and do it justice and put together a good project. So yeah, so any of those avenues, short feature films or web series, are avenues for that. So self-producing allows you also to share your story and your work on a budget, right? Because most indie producers, especially if you're first starting off, have like very, very minimal or almost no budgets to work with. And you can work on it, depending on the project. You can work on different scale of budgets. Even shorts can go anywhere from like almost nothing, costing almost nothing, to years ago, I think 20-25 years ago, when BMW was doing BMW films, each of those projects was $1 million. They were short films. I think the longest one I saw was like 13 minutes. Some of them were as short as 6 minutes, and each of them had a $1 million budget. Now you probably don't have a $1 million budget, right? But you get to create a project for your budget. Use whatever resources you have. If you know somebody who's got a house, you can, get that person to let you use their house. Using the resources that you have and the people that you can and the people that you know, and putting together the project that you can do on the budget that you have or the budget you can get, right? So, but this is something that you can do on a very low budget, and that can really be a really broad range. So, talking about budget, I just want to talk about that just a little bit. Whatever your budget is, right? And you want to think about, if you are indie producing your project, you want to think about like, what is going to be the budget of the project and where is that money going to come from? So if you have the funds, you can self-fund your own project depending on whatever that budget is. That is an investment you are making into your own art, into your own career. So that is one avenue. Is I got the money, I'm putting up the money. I'm putting up the 10,000, the 20,000, the 50,000, the 100,000, the whatever it is for your project. All right. The other option is you can crowd fund your project through avenues such as Seed and Spark, which is specifically a platform for crowdfunding independent projects like film and TV projects. So it is specifically designed for the purpose of funding projects in the entertainment world. So that is another avenue, in which case a lot of people are contributing, right? A lot of people are contributing. I haven't used Seed and Spark and I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I believe that there are tiers of like what people may receive based on how much they invest in your project. And that is something that you would establish. And then you would, run a campaign and try to get as many, try to get your funding that you need. If you're gonna do that, definitely look into what the guidelines are for it. I believe there is um I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe there is like a certain amount of time that you can run a campaign before it closes. Like you have to hit your deadline by a certain amount of time, and then it closes. So, look into what those options are as far as crowdfunding, if that is something that you were looking to do. The other avenue in terms of funding an indie project would be to find an investor or multiple investors. So, this would be where you are finding people who are like, okay, you would have to have an investor agreement, and people, you would set, I believe, like a minimum and or a maximum, and people, you would go to people that have that kind of capital. So some of the early projects that I worked on as an associate producer were funded independently, but they were not crowdfunded. It was like the production company put up a certain amount of money, and then people would invest like $50,000 or $100,000 or $300,000, whatever it was. And then those people would invest in the project and they would fund it. With investors, specifically, the idea is they are funding it, and in the end, they are going to get residuals. It's a gamble, right? Like it's an investment. So the idea is they're like, I'm investing in this project with the hope that later on, after the project is made, after the project is, gets some kind of deal, or is distributed in whatever way, I will get some kind of percentage of that afterwards. So it's not like crowdfunding is a little bit more of like they're giving to the project and maybe they get some kind of like reward or gift. But investors, like investing is serious business. This is people are putting in, typically they're putting in bigger money, and they're hoping that with the idea and the agreement, the actual contract, that they will get a certain amount on the back end. Another thing that you can do, and this is something that recently someone mentioned to me, is um, if you already have, I guess, even if you don't have a distribution outlet, but one thing that you can do is you could also barter for ownership amongst certain key people that you're bringing into the project. For example, if you write a project and you want to produce it and you're like, okay, I need to bring on a DP, a director, an editor, you could barter for, hey, um like the way this will work is we don't have money to pay you, but you will get this percent ownership in the project, so that later on when it gets sold, you are an owner and you will get paid. So that is a different way of doing it, that I've only recently come across, but I thought that that was actually a really clever way, and a really interesting way. It does mean technically that you are giving up like ownership, but this is part of like that collaboration. And it's just one avenue, one of the, several avenues for being able to fund an independent project that you want to produce on your own. So doing an independent project, self-producing it, whether you direct it or not, this is something that establishes you as a filmmaker and as a creator with a clear voice, a perspective, and as someone who is capable, and showing that, having that proof, the proof of the actual project in the end, is something that can lead to more opportunities, when you are then showcasing that. Because like I said, this becomes part of your portfolio. It's not, your portfolio does not just have to be different versions of like different scripts that you have. When you produce a project, you are giving something visual. You are giving an actual product for people to look at and see what it looks like in the end, and that can lead to more opportunities. This also works if you are doing like a proof of concept. Um, a proof of concept is like, it's not like, let's say you have a feature film, you might do a proof of concept of like 10 minutes or something like that to show, right? You produce it, you show it to show an investor or someone later, like this is what we have in mind, this is what it could look like. It gives them something more tangible than the script, where they really have to use their imagination to generate what it's going to look like. You are giving them something that is more concrete, which, and something that is produced, which allows them to really see it and hear it and be immersed in it in a different way than in a script. The only thing about that is proof of concepts typically are like they're a proof of concept. They are something that you use to then try and get a deal. They're not a self-contained indie produced project where you can then take that proof of concept and then get a distribution deal for that, because it's not really a self-contained thing. It's to show proof of the greater project that you want to do, the bigger, the longer project that you want to do. So it is a little bit different, but I wanted to mention it here because that is another way in this kind of same realm of producing something of your own that you can then use as proof for the bigger project that you are actually looking to do. So this is one of many avenues, is indie producing your own project, that as a way of getting into or moving forward in the industry and moving forward with your career, and doing so in a way where you get to have your voice and you get to share the story that you want. So if that's an avenue that you're going to do, make sure that you do your research, that you do your due diligence, that you get the right team together so that you can make a really amazing project. All right. So thank you so much. Make sure that you like and subscribe so that you get notified when we go live or post new videos. And also make sure you check out our community, Black Screenwriter Alliance, which is, you can try it 7 days for free at blackscreenwriteralliance.mn.co. There's a link in the description. And that is our community where we're bringing together Black screenwriters. We have different events inside, a lot of different resources inside. But most importantly, you get to connect with other people. You get to share perspectives, exchange feedback, give and get support, and really continue to learn and grow and improve yourself, while also building those powerful relationships that can last as you continue moving in the industry, and that can even lead to opportunities in the industry. So make sure you check us out over there at blackscreenwriteralliance.mn.co, and I will see you guys in the next live.